So I started investing in real estate in 1997, which led me onto the path of building property portfolios in the UK, Australia and the US. I started while I was working a full-time job in IT, climbing the corporate ladder until I decided I'm going to go contracting and chase the money, contract myself out at a daily rate. Until I was fed up with the daily grind and decided to jump off the hamster wheel and go all in on my own side hustle and property business. So in this video, I want to share with you 8 surprising habits that have helped me over the years and will hopefully help you too. The Rolex Habit. The Rolex Habit is all about not wasting a minute of your time. Your time is valuable, just like a Rolex. Most people start their investing journey while they're still working in their day job. And when you're working your day job, you've only got a limited time to actually then spend any time outside of that on your own business. You know, you've got maybe 1 or 2 hours after work that you can potentially contact agents and then go and view a property. Outside of that, you're going to have to give up your Saturdays to be able to go and view and make offers on properties. When I was working in my job, I noticed that I had chunks of time that were essentially wasted time. I was getting on the train, I had hour lunch breaks, I had meetings that finished early, I had coffee breaks, coffee meetings, all these types of things. I had capacity in and around these things that I could be more productive with my time. When most people get on the train, they start flicking through their phone and looking at whatever social media app takes their fancy. But this book by Gary Keller, The One Thing, really changed my mind and really helped me focus on what the one thing I wanted to get done that day. And it does this by asking yourself the question, what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will become easier or unnecessary? So I had a 45-minute journey each way that I had to take every day, so an hour and a half in total, and I wanted to really make that time count, and I wanted to be as productive as possible. And so what I would do is I'd take my laptop on the train with me and I would get out my laptop. Instead of looking at my phone or doing something else, listening to music or what have you, I'd get out my laptop and I would start working on the one thing that I want to get done that day. I'd put on my headphones and cut out all the other distractions and not move until I was at my destination. So a lot of you that all work can understand how much wasted time there is in that 8-hour day. You know, like you've got your lunch hour, so you can do what you want in your lunch hour, but you've also got things that you attend, like you attend meetings. And generally, meetings are always set for an hour, funnily enough. And generally, they don't last an hour. Sometimes they do, sometimes they go on and drone on forever. But generally, you might find that you've got a bit of time before that hour meeting has totally finished in your diary. So what I would do is I would stay back behind at the end of the meeting. More often than not, I'd be calling the meeting, so my meeting in my meeting room that I booked. But if it's not your meeting, you can still just stay behind in the room. Wait till everyone's gone, you're there in the room. You've got 10 minutes or 15 minutes now that you can spend doing whatever you want on your own property business. Make some calls, make some notes, do a quick bit of research. You can get a lot done in 10 or 15 minutes time that will really help keep the momentum going, keep you motivated and keep you moving in the direction that you're trying to get to with your property investing. And even as a project manager, one of the benefits is that you get to set your own meetings, and essentially sometimes I'd make meetings with myself, book an hour in a meeting room, no one's coming in to disturb me, I've got an hour to crack on doing whatever I want to do. Just don't tell anyone. With lunch hours, again, there's free Wi-Fi down at Starbucks. Utilize your lunch hours, take your laptop with you, go and set up your office at a local coffee shop and get cracking on with some stuff. Take half an hour for lunch, half an hour to crack on with something, utilize that hour time. It could be that you could even sneak in the odd viewing depending on how far away your work is to the property that you're trying to see. I try to waste zero amount of my own time while I was at work because investing to me and my own side hustle were so important to me that they were the things that I really wanted to focus on, and they were the things that I would, if I had a moment, I would take advantage of it and spend it on those 2 things. And that's what you need to remember is, what is the one thing you want to get done that day? Put all your efforts into trying to achieve that by utilizing all the time that you've got available to you within the day to make that happen. Because if you chase 2 rabbits, you'll not catch either one. The Fetch a Pail of Gold Habit. The Fetch a Pail of Gold Habit is a twist on a classic tale. This one starts on a bright sunny day in a bustling town. Let's call it London Dinning. And there stood 2 enterprising individuals, Jack and Jill, They set out on their own up the hill to make their fortunes in the world of property investment. Each had their own unique approach to acquiring properties, and their choices ultimately revealed valuable lessons about opportunity and strategy. Jack was a firm believer in the one offer a day strategy. He believed that by consistently making an offer on one property each day, he would increase his chances of stumbling upon a great deal. Jack thought that casting a wide net was the key to success. Every morning, he diligently would study the market, select a property, and then make an offer. Jack was a determined and a persistent investor. On the other hand, Jill had a different approach. She believed in thoroughly researching and understanding a single property before making an offer. Jill would spend weeks analysing the market, inspecting properties and building relationships with agents and local tradesmen. Only when she was absolutely confident in a property's potential did she make an offer. Jill believed in quality over quantity. Over time, both Jack and Jill faced their share of challenges. Jack's daily offers led to many rejected bids and constant uncertainty. While he had cast a wide net, he often found himself in bidding wars or making offers on less promising properties. Jill, in contrast, faced fewer disappointments. Her methodical approach meant that her offers were well received and well informed. She only pursued properties that she was confident would deliver on a desired financial outcome. Her focus on quality allowed her to establish a strong reputation in the market. As time passed, Jill secured several high-quality investment properties that appreciated in value, generating substantial returns. Meanwhile, Jack's daily offers had yielded a few deals, but they weren't always the best investments, and he had to work harder to make them profitable. In the end, Jill's strategy of making one well-informed offer on a single property at a time proved to be more successful. Her patient and selective approach allowed her to secure better deals and build a reputation as a knowledgeable and trustworthy investor. Jack learned that sometimes the path to success in the world of investment lies not in the quantity of opportunities pursued, but in the quality of the opportunities seized. Quality and knowledge often triumphs over quantity and haste. So in my investing, I try to remind myself to be more like Jill and less like Jack, because I want to be bringing back gold class assets. The Amazon Habit. The Amazon Habit reminds us that if we want to build an empire, it's less about the people, but it's more about the systems and processes that underpin it. So anyone that works in IT, and especially project managers, and I worked as a project manager, they will tell you that it's all about the systems and processes that you employ to deliver a quality project, to get it to be on time and to budget while managing your risk. Putting in place systems and processes means that you can essentially achieve complex things, just like Amazon has done with their best-in-class ordering, fulfillment and customer service operations, which creates an automated, streamlined operation where fewer people are required to perform the work, and the work can be performed by most people without the need for a specialist skill set. I'm a firm believer in using systems and processes, having been schooled in the art of project management. And so I apply the same principles to my own property investing techniques. And I've created my own bespoke system and processes around my property investing with my own checklists and workbooks and templates and scripts and all of those types of things, so that I've got a standardized and structured way that I approach my property investing. This creates a structured approach to the way I research and manage a property from cradle to grave, and a standard way to compare property deals, so I'm able to make decisions based on the data, less on emotion. The evolution habit. The evolution habit reminds us that we're going to be evolving and iterating our systems and processes over time, and that we're never going to be standing still. We're going to be always evolving and improving and fine-tuning our capabilities, being our systems and processes that underpin the whole foundation of our property investing. So Elon Musk has done this to great effect with Tesla vehicles, which are known for their over-the-air software updates that allow owners to receive new features and improvements remotely. This approach ensures that Tesla cars remain state-of-the-art and still evolve after they've left the factory to meet the changing needs and desires of their customers. So recently I was buying a commercial property, and the seller had another property that he wanted to also sell, and it was just off market. So I agreed a price with him, off market, no agent involved. and we agreed on that price. Meanwhile, the commercial one was very close to settling, and that one went through fine. And then he decided to retract his offer on this other property and not sell it to me at that price, because ultimately he got what he wanted off his main one, and he thought he could get a better deal with this one on the market. And that's exactly what he did. There's an important lesson there that what I should have done is I should have tied up that second property with an option to buy, which gave me the right, but not the legal obligation to buy the property if I didn't want to buy it. So as we learn lessons, we want to be evolving our existing systems and processes and updating them to reflect the lessons that we learn, and therefore we're improving ourselves and our capabilities going forward and making us a better property investor. Hey, real quick, if you want to start investing in property, or maybe you own one property already, but you kind of got stuck, I want to invite you to join my Property Accelerator program, where you learn how to buy, refurbish, refinance and rent property so that you can go and build a scalable and profitable property portfolio. And this way, you'll also get access to all of my bespoke property investing systems and processes that are associated with that strategy. So check out the link in the description. Thanks very much. The next one is called the location flip habit. So you may have seen the TV program, Location, Location, Location. Now, this one really focuses your mind on the location. And that's because a lot of people have the belief that the location is the most and the only important thing when it comes to property, which when you're a homeowner, maybe location is the most important thing. But as a property investor, it's not the most important thing. What I've found is that when I started, I used to believe location was the most important thing. Then it was the property, and then it was how much money was it going to make. But what I've done is I've had to flip that on its head. And now the most important thing is always, when it comes to property investing, is what do the numbers tell you? The numbers determine whether you then actually go and look at the property, and then whether you go and look at the property in that particular location. So location flip is locations at the bottom, numbers are at the top, properties in the middle. That's what this one's all about. But don't get me wrong, all of these are important, but it's about the numbers that's the most important thing when you are a property investor. Armed with the numbers, you can then look at the property and make a decision whether you want to move forward with it. The outcome habits. The outcome habit is part explained in this book, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, where he talks about another particular book that's called Descartes' Error by neuroscientist Antonio Damasio, where he explained a groundbreaking discovery he had made. Studying people who had damaged the part of the brain that had made emotions, he found that they could not make decisions. They could explain what they should do in logical terms, but they found it impossible to make even the simplest choice. So as humans, we make decisions based on emotions, and then when asked about them, create logical explanations as to why we did it. Same can be said when it comes to our property investing. You know, we go out there and we buy a property and we justify the reason why we bought that particular property. And we then back it up with logical explanation as to why we bought that property. But it could be that you could have got a better deal somewhere else if you've analysed it properly and really been led by the data, led by the numbers, rather than less on the emotional pull that you might have had to that particular property for whatever the reasons are. And this is that logical explanation that we'll then probably give to our partners or to other people that we meet when we talk to them about the property deal that we bought. So what we need to do is we need to look at property deals through the lens of what's our financial outcome. Does that deal deliver on our financial outcome, yes or no? If it's a no, we move on to the next one. If it's a yes, then cool, let's look at it further and then make an offer on it. Because if it's delivering on our financial outcome and we're clear on what our financial outcome is, then we want to be buying deals that will deliver on our financial outcome-based investing. And this is the outcome habit that I've formed. The rich life habit. So every property investor I know talks about leverage, and we talk about good debt, and we talk about bad debt, and we talk about why debt can be good for you. So this is where we talk about the rich life habit here. And what I mean by the rich life habit is that I don't agree with debt. Ultimately, debt, I want no debt. To ultimately live the rich life, you have zero debt. So in my view, debt is bad. And I've never met a rich man that had no debt that went broke. And I've also known lots of people that had lots of debt and they went broke. So when you're first starting out, debt isn't necessary that you have to take on and use it to your advantage, because it's unlikely you've won the lottery or that you're playing for Man City. But we all have to work within our own capabilities and to manage what we have to do and take on as much debt as we're capable of managing. I still use debt and I understand what I'm trying to do with it. I'm leveraging it to be able to buy bigger assets and leveraging my cash that I've got available to be able to go into bigger sized assets by doing it. But ultimately my mindset is that I want to reduce that debt as quickly as possible and pay it off. I don't want to just keep waiting for inflation to minimize that debt. So in 20 years time, that debt will seem like it's not worth not a lot of money. That's great, but ultimately you got 20 years of waiting for that to happen, and how many sleepless nights you're going to have where the bank rate keeps going up and down, and you're kind of thinking, what am I going to do when my fixed rate ends? You know, so ultimately, if you're paying down that debt, you're going to be able to sleep better at night and you're going to have less to worry about. You will have more choice, lenders will fall over themselves to lend you money, and you can buy property with the confidence of making all cash offers and not care too much about interest rates.
We bought it all cash, so it's debt-free commercial real estate that we own.
You'll sleep a lot sounder at night knowing you're paying down your debt to the point that your loan to value ratio is so low that you could at any time decide that you can just pay it off if the rates go above what you'd like them to be at. You then borrow when rates are at more attractive rates, and then you pay it off when they're not at an attractive rate. This way you're not a slave to the bank rate, you're actually in control of it. And this is why I call this the rich life habit, because ultimately you're gonna have a rich life if you don't have debt or you've only got a very small amount of debt. The L plate habit. I passed my driving test at 17 and I couldn't wait to take off those L plates, and taking to the road without them on for the first time felt pretty good. But when it comes to learning, I like to keep my L plates on because I want to remind myself that I should always be learning. There's always something changing, whether it's inflation, interest rates, demand, supply, income, employment, legislation, or the market rents. Having bought your first investment property, you may be patting yourself on the back thinking, yes, I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. But you're only halfway there. You've just got up to the top of the mountain. You now got to come down the mountain the other side, and you've got to try and come down that mountain without breaking your crown. So you need to manage your investments and optimize them to make sure that each one ultimately achieves your desired financial outcome. I enjoy learning and staying on top of the market and keeping a watching brief across all of my investments. And this way, by keeping the L plate habit top of mind, I'm reminding myself that I should always be learning and staying up to date on everything that I can do to make sure my investments are optimized and performing at their peak of their capability. The destination is your motivation, but the journey can equally be fun by keeping these 8 surprising habits top of your mind. So thanks very much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.